Hello, divas!
Hello, divas. We're excited you're here today because
Yes.
we are talking about dating alignment.
Dating alignment.
When it feels right, what signals you should be looking for, because the bottom line goal here is for us to help you see very early on when somebody's really into you. They like you.
Yes.
There should be no question
Yeah.
if they like you,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, Donna has said this ever since I've known her. If you follow her system, you will know within 4 dates at the most whether he's into you or not.
Right.
And at that point, if he's not, don't waste any more of your time.
Yeah, now that don't feel pressured. 4
No.
dates equates to a month, and you would be surprised, maybe you wouldn't, how much you can learn about somebody within 4 dates. In fact,
yeah.
I did work out the system. Thank you, honey. We talk about this in our membership, that you thank you, absolutely know before the 4th date whether he's into you. We are here to help you see those signals.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
because there shouldn't be a question about that.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what's the first signal? What is it? We're looking at our notes real quick.
Yes.
So they don't ask you about your life. They're not curious about what you've been through, your story, where you're at now.
Yeah.
Would that make sense on your perspective?
Well, yeah. When Donna and I went out on our very first date, I asked her question after question after question about herself. And as a matter of fact, divas, she thought I was hard of hearing because I was leaning in and I was very focused on her.
True story. I thought he was a little hard. He just kept leaning forward, and Now he did ask me many questions, and
Well, I wanted to find out about you.
right, and
No, I was going to say if a guy meets you, you go out on your first date, and he's got a vibe about you, or he likes what he sees, he's going to want to find out about you. Even the quiet ones.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit there and not say anything unless this is what she's saying. If they're really not into you, they'll probably talk about themselves and what they're doing.
well, and this is really interesting because this is your number one way to know if somebody's into you.
Yeah.
And if they like you, if they are if you're on the same page and they're interested.
Yeah.
What was interesting was I always tell my dating divas to ask questions and then sit quietly, because you learn so much about somebody when they talk about themselves. And people typically love to talk about themselves. Yeah. But Jeff kept turning the table and he kept asking me questions.
Well, and I will say this. We're talking about the first 2, 3, 4 dates. And so it's very possible if you get a guy that is unsure of himself to a certain degree, maybe he hasn't dated for a while and he's nervous, he might talk about himself a lot because he's out of practice and doesn't know what else to talk about for a while. But I'm promising you, if it happens on 3 dates, he's not into you. If he's not asking, well, what do you do for a living? Where do you work? Are you,
what are your grown?
Well, what? Yeah. Do you have kids? What are their ages? What are your hobbies?
Right.
Do you like sports? Do you like shooting? Do you like sailing? Do you what do you like?
Right. So if they're not asking you a question about yourself, that is your awareness and alignment number 1.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Number 2 would be he doesn't make time for you. If you find that you are waiting for him to ask you out, or you're the one who initiates the text, and if you follow my guidance, you will know that I'm not a fan of us initiating that kind of thing. But if you find yourself doing that because he's not, then that would be disalignment number 2. That would be disalignment number 2, right?
And another thing that Donna has talked about ever since I've known her is the 3-day rule. If he calls or bumps into you, or if he's trying to get a date in the next tomorrow or in 2 days, he has to give you at least a 3-day advance. Yeah. And when you stop and think about it, it makes so much sense. You don't want to feel like, at least I hope you don't, I know you don't, you don't want to feel like, oh, he asked her out, she couldn't, so now I'm second choice.
Yeah, we're not going to be. Yeah.
No,
And that brings us to disalignment number 3, which is indifference.
Ooh.
Right? So if somebody is indifferent with you, they're not really, they might be texting just to say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Listen, men act differently than women. Or, let me put it better this way, because women can act a little off as well. You're not aligned if you are putting more effort into that relationship than they're putting into you.
Well put.
For sure. If they are indifferent, they don't care when they see you next,
Yeah.
they're not initiating to see you,
Yeah.
then that is misalignment number 3. So pay attention, because men will move mountains to get to you if they are interested. And
Yes.
believe me, there's no guessing game when they are interested in you.
No, and Donna said something a couple of days ago. I'm like, wow, write that down. But she basically said a woman will not be able to really stop a guy that's really wanting you.
Right.
He's gonna, now when I say that, I hope you understand that if you're not into him at all,
Right.
and you put the kibosh on, we're not talking about a stalker, but
No.
we are talking about, he feels that there's a connection. He knows that there's a connection. And when Donna and I met, I knew that we had a connection.
Well, he knew. I didn't know.
No, you knew. You knew we had a connection. Again, it wasn't like we're going to get married connection, but she knew we had a connection.
Yeah, it's true.
Even before we met, on our emails, there was a connection.
Yeah, through the app, he made me cry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say. So,
But you know, and he knows if there's a connection.
Right.
I'll give you an example. When Donna wrote her first book, Dating Is Not Personal, that came from a date with a really nice, good-looking guy, and they were basically out for dinner. There it is. And there was no spark. There was no connection. They had a great time.
we did.
It was just, they had a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
They enjoyed each other, but they both knew there was not a spark, there's not a connection.
Yeah.
And in the conversation, the phrase was brought out, why does everybody have to make it so personal?
Right.
Why do you have to take it so personally?
Yeah.
And it's like the spark, though, you know if it's there or it's not.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because we did talk about that. We had a lovely time. We spent, I want to say probably 3 or 4 hours together just walking around New York City. And but what was fascinating was he never called me again, and I'm glad he didn't call me again.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't personal. We weren't on the same page, whether that was emotionally, spiritually, not in the same lineup as I was looking for love and marriage. Maybe he wasn't. But we find out very quickly so we don't have the heartache down the road when he finally hits us in the face like a 2x4 and go, holy crap, I just spent 8 months with this man and I should have seen it. We're showing you how to see it quicker so you don't end up in that heartache place, okay?
One more quick story. What popped into my mind, I was 21, 22. I was getting ready to head off to college in a few months. And there had been a girl in high school. She was 2 years older than me. And I always had the big time hots for this girl. I mean, she was like, wow, wow, wow. I pursued her, and it was like, oh, you're 2 years younger than me. Never going to happen. Anyways.
It wasn't personal.
No, I bumped into her when I was home, and we went out, and we went out 2 or 3 times. We ended up being in each other's arms, and we were kissing, and it was getting, and all of a sudden.
Hot and heavy.
Well,
maybe.
It was hot and heavy, but we stopped after about 10 minutes, and we're like, there's no spark. I mean, you're a great kisser.
I think she said she felt like she was kissing her brother.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say that. Well, thank you. That makes me feel, even now, so special. But
Okay.
my point is that you know when there is a connection.
Yeah.
And if there's no connection.
Here we go. And remember, divas, we're gonna see you in the next part because we're gonna give you 3 more. But remember, at the end of the day, it does not have to be
That hard.